Akwet was a quiet town surrounded by palm trees, red earth, and whispers. And in that town lived Amara, a girl whose beauty made people stop mid-conversation. Her skin glowed like the morning sun after rainfall, and her eyes had a strange calm, the kind that made even elders lower their voices when she passed. But her beauty was both her blessing and her curse. From her school days, Amara was the talk of the town. Men sent gifts. Women rolled their eyes. Mothers warned their sons. And girls? They wished she would just disappear. Her mother, Mama Ebba, used to say, "My daughter, when God blesses you with something the world desires, guard it with humility." Amara took the advice to heart. She was respectful, soft-spoken, and helpful. Yet, jealousy doesn't care about manners. One day at the village market, Amara overheard two women gossiping near the cassava stand. "See her walking like she owns the world," one hissed. "Who even knows what she's using? Ordinary fine girl can't be shining like that," the other replied. Amara's hands trembled. She only wanted to buy palm oil. It became worse when Chief Okik, a wealthy man in his late 50s, publicly declared, "If beauty were a kingdom, Amara would be queen." His words became poison. From that day, envy became her shadow. Jealousy can turn friends into strangers. Amara's childhood friend, Kioma, once her closest companion, became her fiercest rival. Kioma had always admired her, until admiration turned into resentment. When Amara gained admission to study accounting at the University of Port Harcourt, Kioma followed her. But instead of friendship, Kioma carried bitterness. On campus, Amara's quiet charm drew attention from lecturers, classmates, and even the student union president. Kioma couldn't bear it. "She's pretending to be innocent." Kioma would whisper to anyone who'd listen. "Don't be fooled by that face." The rumors spread like harmattan fire. Some said Amara used charms to attract men. Others said she was dating a married lecturer for grades. Each lie left a stain she couldn't wash off. Then one day, Kioma went too far. She forged screenshots of fake love messages, allegedly between Amara and the department head, and sent them to the dean. The news exploded across campus. Amara was summoned, disgraced, and suspended pending investigation. She cried till her pillow was soaked. "Why do they hate me for what I didn't choose?" she asked her mother over the phone. Mama Ebba sighed heavily. "Because, my daughter, beauty attracts eyes, and not all eyes wish you well." Amara returned home under a cloud of shame. The news of her suspension had spread faster than the harmattan wind. In Akwet, gossip was a sport, and her story was the latest tournament. By the time she reached her mother's compound, the neighbors already knew. Some watched from their doorsteps as she passed. Others pretended to sweep dust that didn't exist, just to catch a glimpse of her face. "She has finally come home," one woman whispered. "I said it. Beauty without sense is trouble," another replied. Her mother, Mama Ebba, came out to welcome her, trying to smile despite the tension in her eyes. "New, my daughter. Come in," she said softly, embracing her. Amara clung to her mother and burst into tears. For the first time, home didn't feel like refuge. Over the next few days, the house grew quieter. Mama Ebba stopped attending women's meetings. She couldn't stand the stares. When she went to the market, people lowered their voices, pretending not to speak about her. "Didn't I tell you?" they whispered. The charm finally failed her. Amara heard it all. The more they talked, the smaller she felt. She stopped attending church. She couldn't bear the judgmental glances. The way people who once hugged her now pretended to be too busy to greet. She began eating less. Her laughter disappeared. Even her reflection felt like a stranger. Standing before the mirror one night, she stared at her tear-streaked face and whispered, "If I wasn't this beautiful, maybe I'd be free." She turned the mirror to the wall. One hot afternoon, she went to fetch water from the village stream. The same women who had watched her grow up stood on the opposite bank, washing clothes. As she bent to fill her pot, she felt their eyes burning through her back. Their laughter was sharp, like stones thrown in silence. When she turned, they quickly looked away. But the damage was done. A small boy ran up to her, cheerful and innocent. "Auntie Amara," he said loudly, "my mama said you're using juju to shine." The words hit harder than any slap. Her grip on the pot loosened. It rolled, hit a rock and cracked in two. She stood there, tears blurring her vision, then sank to her knees by the stream and wept until her body shook. That night, she came home to find Mama Ebba coughing weakly. The stress of the gossip, the whispers, and the shame had taken a toll. Over the next few days, her mother's health worsened. She couldn't sleep or eat, only prayed quietly at night, whispering her daughter's name. One evening, as the sun faded behind the palm trees, Mama Ebba called Amara to her bedside. Her hands trembled as she held her daughter's. "My child," she said weakly, her breath shallow, "don't let them define you. You are more than what they say. Your gift is your destiny. One day, this pain will become your power." Amara wept silently, clutching her mother's hand. 2 weeks later, Mama Ebba died. The news hit Amara like thunder. She sat by her mother's grave long after everyone had left, staring at the fresh mound of red earth. The woman who had been her shield was gone, and now the world felt too loud, too cruel, too empty. That night, she made her decision. She packed a small bag, 2 dresses, her certificates, and a framed photo of her mother. She counted the last 3,000 she had, wiped her tears, and looked around the room one last time. As dawn broke, she boarded a rusty bus heading to Lagos. The air smelled of exhaust and uncertainty. She didn't know anyone there. She didn't know where she would sleep. But she knew one thing. She was done being the girl the village hated. She was ready to become the woman the world couldn't ignore. The bus rumbled out of Akwet before sunrise, its engine groaning as if carrying the weight of her past. Amara sat by the window, clutching her small bag against her chest. Her eyes stayed on the road until her mother's village disappeared behind the mist. She didn't cry this time. Her tears had dried somewhere between heartbreak and exhaustion. What she carried now was determination, quiet, fierce, and burning beneath her skin. Hours later, the driver shouted, "Lagos, Oshodi." The city unfolded before her eyes, loud, restless, and alive. Yellow buses honked, hawkers shouted, and people moved like a rushing river that never stopped. Lagos had no time for pity. It only respected hustle. Amara stepped down from the bus, her heart racing. She had never seen so many people in one place. The air was thick with dust, perfume, and the smell of roasted corn. Everyone seemed to be going somewhere fast. She held her bag tightly and whispered, "Mama, I'm here." That night, she found refuge in a church hostel for women. The matron, a kind elderly lady named Sister Grace, asked few questions. "As long as you behave well, you can stay for now," she said, giving her a mattress in a corner. Amara was grateful. The room was crowded, with 6 other young women sleeping close together, their dreams echoing softly in the night. She didn't sleep much. She stared at the ceiling, thinking of her mother's words, "Your gift is your destiny." The next morning, she set out to find work. She walked from street to street, asking at shops, restaurants, and offices. Most turned her away. Some men offered her other kinds of help, the type her mother had warned her about. But Amara refused. Days turned into weeks, Her 3,000 dwindled fast. She survived on bread and pure water. Sometimes, she washed clothes for other hostel girls to earn a few naira. Still, she kept waking up early, dressing neatly, and walking the streets with hope in her eyes. Then one scorching afternoon, fate opened its first door. She was walking along Adenaram Agunsanya Street in Surala, shielding her face from the sun, when she noticed a large glass building with Tara Gold Modeling Agency written above the entrance. Inside, she saw posters of smiling women in elegant dresses. She didn't plan to go in. She only wanted shade. But as she stood by the door, a voice called out, "Hey, you! Come here!" Amara froze. A tall woman in heels, dressed sharply in a blazer, walked toward her. Her presence commanded attention. "My name is Tara Gold, the manager here," she said, looking Amara over. "Have you ever modeled before?" Amara shook her head. "No, Ma, I'm just looking for work." Tara smiled slightly. "Work has found you, my dear. Come inside." Inside, Amara filled out a form and posed for a few photos. The photographer, a bearded man with kind eyes, couldn't stop shaking his head. "Madam Tara, this girl's face is made for the camera. Look at her. Natural light." Within a week, Amara's photos appeared on the agency's digital board. Then the calls began. First, a small skincare brand wanted her for a shoot. Then a fashion boutique. Then a billboard campaign for a women's clothing line. Her first paycheck felt unreal, more than she had ever held in her life. She sent a portion to fix her mother's grave and donated the rest to the church hostel. As months passed, Amara's name began to circulate in Lagos' fashion scene. Her calm confidence stood out. She wasn't loud or proud. She was graceful. A woman who had learned to rise quietly after falling hard. One day, she walked past a magazine stand and froze. On the cover of Urban Faces Nigeria, her photo stared back at her. Radiant, soft-eyed, glowing against a golden background. The headline read, "The mystery model everyone's talking about." Tears welled in her eyes, but this time they weren't from pain. She remembered her mother's words again. "Your gift is your destiny." Weeks later, at a charity event for young girls, she stood on stage, speaking about resilience. Cameras flashed. Reporters leaned forward. Then, from the corner of her eye, she noticed someone in the crowd, familiar yet unexpected. Kioma, her old friend from Akwet. Their eyes met. Kioma's face was pale, her expression trembling between guilt and disbelief. After the event, she approached Amara quietly. "Amara," she began, her voice shaking, "I wronged you. I destroyed your name. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need to say it. I'm sorry." Amara looked at her for a long time. The old anger was gone. Only peace remained. She smiled gently. "You didn't destroy me, Kioma. You only redirected me." Kioma burst into tears. Amara hugged her. The cameras clicked, capturing a moment that spoke louder than fame. The power of grace over bitterness. As Amara walked out that night, the city lights glowed around her. Lagos was no longer strange. It was home. The place where she lost everything, only to find herself. And as she gazed at the skyline, she whispered, "Mama, I made it. Not because I'm beautiful, but because I didn't let the world turn my beauty into a curse." The night breeze in Lagos carried a kind of peace that Amara hadn't felt in years. Standing on the rooftop terrace of her apartment, she watched the city lights blink like stars scattered across the ground. The same city that had once swallowed her in uncertainty now whispered her name through billboards and headlines. Her phone buzzed. A message from Tara Gold. "Congratulations, my dear. You've just been selected as the new face of Aura Beauty International. You're making history. Amara smiled faintly, her heart swelling. She whispered softly, Mama, your daughter made it. But beneath the success, something deeper stirred in her. She had tasted fame, comfort, and validation, yet the memory of her past pain refused to fade. The gossip, the humiliation, her mother's death, they all formed the soil from which her strength had grown. She had learned something profound. Beauty may open doors, but character determines how long they stay open. The foundation of grace. Months passed. Her career soared. She appeared in commercials, spoke on panels, and became a sought-after ambassador for female empowerment campaigns. But what touched her heart most wasn't the flashing cameras. It was the young girls who wrote to her, sharing how her story gave them hope. One evening, as she scrolled through her messages, a line from a 17-year-old girl caught her attention. Auntie Amara, they bully me in school because I'm different. Sometimes I wish I wasn't born this way. Amara froze. The words pierced her like a mirror to her past. That night, she couldn't sleep. Instead, she drafted a plan on a blank sheet of paper. At the top, she wrote, "The foundation of grace, helping girls heal beyond envy." She called Tara the next morning. "Ma, I want to start something real," she said. "Something that reminds young girls that they are enough, with or without approval." Tara loved the idea. Within months, the Foundation of Grace was launched. It offered mentorship, scholarships, and counseling for girls dealing with bullying, shame, or rejection. Amara used her voice to challenge the culture of envy and body shaming that had nearly destroyed her. Her first speech at the launch event left the audience in tears. "I was once hated for my beauty," she said, her voice steady. "But I learned that hate doesn't define you. It reveals what others fear to become. You can't dim your light to make others comfortable. Shine anyway." The crowd erupted in applause. Cameras flashed, but Amara's gaze lifted upward. In her heart, she could almost hear her mother's voice whisper, "Your gift is your destiny." Full circle. Fate has a way of bringing stories to completion. One morning, she received a letter from her hometown. The local women's council wanted to honor her for bringing pride to Akwet. The irony made her smile. Years ago, the same town had turned its back on her. Now, they wanted to celebrate her.